Well, like all these 24-hour races, whether it's Nurburgring, Le Mans, Spa or Daytona, safety plays a huge part in running the race. And during the race, everything has to be run from race control, surveillance and coordination of rescue and safety cars, all done through banks and banks of television monitors. The safety cars all around the track, they have radio and they're in constant contact with race control. We'll send them out. If there's a problem, and they're responsible for making sure the safety on the track is up to scratch. They also will go out if there's a problem situation. We've seen it earlier in the race, and we're riding at the moment with one of those cars. Hans Schnock, race director. He tells the Marshals Club of Nürburgring is responsible for organising and recruiting the crew for the 24 hours. The club's been founded expressly for this goal. And we have more than 1,100 people on site, and you can imagine what this means with regard to organisation and preparation. The medical centre. The staff is well prepared under Dr. Martin Zimek, head of the 24-hour medical crew here. A new medical centre is going to be opened before the end of this year, but at the moment they're making do with the old one, as Dr. Zimek told us how they work. Well, we've been here since Thursday. He says our medical team are in 11 positions around the circuit, so they can give rapid intervention if necessary. We're responsible for the health, not only drivers, but for all the team members, and of course also for these spectators, and there are so many of them. Well, during the 24 hours, it's of course of prime importance that drivers stick to the rules. The special penalties are put in place to punish every misdemeanor. There's the black flag, for instance, for a 389 car. Driver will be called into the pits. He'd be welcomed by the race director, not for a cup of tea, but for a bit of finger waving and perhaps a few words from Hans Schnock. If he hasn't misbehaved too badly, he'll be given a warning and then sent back out into the race. Well, the infamous stop-and-go penalty that we now see in all sorts of racing actually started here in the 24 hours. Which Schnock tells us, well, we were the ones who invented this, and so, you know, the rest of the world's adopted it now, even Formula One. Of course, among the drivers, they call this penalty nothing worse than come in and have a cup of coffee with the race director. That's the race story here, 2 hours to go in the 24 hours of Nürburgring, 1997, always a fascinating race. And cars really close together now. Malcolm Ubler is Sabine Reck. She is fighting it for all or nothing now, still in the lead, but all the time the 170 Golf TDI of Chris Nissan is getting closer and closer. Track's getting drier, as you can see. Rain, though, in several parts of the 25-kilometre circuit. And amongst the casualties, the number 37 BMW coming in with gearbox problems. Well, Sabine does not like the rain, and the weather is starting to get worse again. In come the winds from the west, and the Eifel Mountains again lashed by terrible weather. There indeed is the second place car of Chris Nissan. That time's dropping by some 3 minutes in this heavy rain. Our team's now really concerned, and the BMW 320i of George Sverich in 12th position at the moment. In the pits, Johannes Scheid and everybody else are concerned about the right tyre choice. Should they call Sabine in or not? Will they decide? Yes, they will. In comes the 170 though, wet tyres. And they decide Sabine should stay on slicks, so she's not coming in, but the Volkswagen putting on wet weather tyres. Will this turn out to be the wrong decision for Volkswagen? We asked Karl-Heinz Goldstein about it. Well, we're not up to speed on the conditions on every part of the circuit. The drivers have to decide, and Chris Nissen decided he wanted intermediates. Was this move to really go for the final sprint to try and beat the BMW? He said no, it's really a decision to bring the car home safely. Better to have second and have the car in the barriers. Of course, playing things down a bit because the car is getting closer and closer to the number 28 leader. 38 car just saw in third position. And Chris Nissen now really pushing in these wet conditions, and it is wet by golly on the other side of the circuit. You can see it there, getting closer and closer to the first place, but still so slow to look at. Number 4 Golf we just saw in 10th place, GTI rather than the diesel. And it starts to dry out a bit. 30 minutes to go now. In comes our race leader. Sabine throwing away the slicks, putting on intermediates. Conditions on the other side are just too bad. Out she goes again. The 170 diesel passing a group of the minis, only 2 minutes behind now, with 27 minutes to go. Well, Florian Billen in the Golf GTI going to finish 5th. But in the closing stages, engine troubles for the Volvo 850 T5. That's going to drop down the order and finish 23rd place. Conditions again changing on the track with just 14 minutes to go. Chris Nissen into the pits. He's decided to go for slicks. Conditions, he believes, have dried out enough. It's Chris's choice, as we heard Karl-Heinz Goldstein of Volkswagen Motorsport saying. So Danish driver Chris Nissen going back out into the race. Can they snatch victory from BMW with this final pit stop and a decision to change to slick tyres? The answer comes seconds later. Back comes the rain, and Sabine has made the right choice to change onto intermediates. The track is flooded again, and they must be heading surely for a win. Johannes Scheider. Well, anything can happen, but I hope Sabine can carry the car around the circuit. She's on wet tyres and our main opponent is on intermediates. Otherwise, this could be her final lap.
Die können das so nicht mehr mithalten. Theoretisch könnte sie jetzt in der letzten Runde sein.
Well, people now waiting. I don't want to have to do another lap. They're waiting for the winner. Out comes the checkered flag, and number 28 car of Sabine Reck wins the Nurburgring 24 hours for the second time in succession. So what a great victory for the lady who became the first lady winner last year. She's done it again. And of course a big victory also for all her teammates, including Peter Zakowski. We talked to Sabine at the finish. Well, I guess the track might dry out, but then the rain set in. I had to drive really slowly on my second lap out. So I did choose to come into the pits to take wet tyres. I just couldn't risk throwing it all away. Didn't want to risk the win.
Aber wie man sieht, war das ja genau das Richtige, weil am Schluss fing es ja nochmal so richtig an.
Jetzt scheint die Sonne auf jeden Fall.
How will your team celebrate this win?
Wie lange wird die Feier voraussichtlich dauern?
Ja, nochmal 24 Stunden.
Well, we'll have another 24 hours, she said, of celebration. Well, there's the results, and what a fine victory for a lady who must be regarded now as Germany's top lady racer. 2 24-hour wins to her credit with Scheid, Thiemann and Zakowski. So a very happy podium here.